G'day everyone, and welcome back to another live stream here at the Australian Reptile Park. My name's Dan and I'm the head reptile keeper here, and today we're going to take you on a little tour throughout the park and checking out some of our amazing turtle and tortoise species, because today, one of the best days of the year, it's the 23rd of May, it's also a Saturday, and it happens to be World Turtle Day. So it's a day for all of us to celebrate these amazing animals, and also to learn a little bit about how we can help conserve those species right around the world and even here in Australia. So I'm going to show you a few of my favourite species, and we're going to finish off with my all-time favourite reptile. That's not Kraken the Komodo dragon, but the second favourite I'll show you today. Now, I love turtles and tortoises, in particular freshwater turtles that we have here in Australia. And here at the Reptile Park, projects that are very close to our heart with our sister organisation AUSIARK is of course with species like the Manning River turtle. Now, the Manning River turtle is an endangered species, and a few years ago we started a conservation program to help save that animal out in the wild. And we've been very, very fortunate with our partners OEH and the Opposite Environment and Heritage and Western Sydney University to establish a captive insurance population, and later on this year we'll be releasing hatchling Manning River turtles back out into the wild. So turtle conservation really is very important to us here at the park and also at AUSIARK. But I'm now going to show you one of the coolest animals you'll ever see. Now, we have lots of freshwater turtle species in Australia, around 27 different species. This is by far the most unique. Now, if you're from the States, parts of Asia, Africa, these type of turtles would be much more familiar to you than most Australians. They're very, very unique in comparison to the rest of the turtle fauna that you'll find in our country. Let's go check them out. So follow me. People love this exhibit. People love seeing this animal on the move. Now, of course, I'm talking about just the coolest animal you'll ever see. Today we're going to be introducing you to our beautiful pig-nosed turtle. Now, as I said before, we have 27 species of freshwater turtle. Now, unlike the rest of our species of freshwater turtle that you'll find here in Australia, you can see how different this particular animal looks. The first thing you're going to notice is the flippers. They have flippers just like that of a marine or sea turtle. Now, Brandon's hiding out the back for me, and he's actually helped me out a little bit. He's thrown in some fig for the pig-nosed turtle to chase after. So you'll see, you're getting the wrong end of the pig-nosed turtle at the moment, but Brandon's sitting up the top there, and he's throwing in some of the pig-nosed favourite type of food. There we go, which is fig. Now, if you see the flippers, just like a marine turtle, I think Brandon's going to hand feed this last piece. Yep, he got it to it, nice and easy. Now you can see the flippers, very similar to that of a marine or sea turtle. In fact, this particular species of freshwater turtle is the only one to have flippers like you're seeing right now. And their front flippers work in that synchronized fashion, very similar to how you would do a breaststroke if you were swimming in the pool. They work together as one, pulling the rest of the body forward. Now, I'm not sure how often it's going to do it. Right now, it's using those flippers to help eat that fig. Now, fig is one of its favourite type of foods that we will feed it here at the Reptile Park. Now, out in the wild, the majority of their diet is made up of ribbonweed, but also things like pandanus fruits that fall into the water. And you'll find this species in the northern parts of Australia, in the Northern Territory, in fact. Now, another thing you might notice about this particular species of turtle, if you're used to looking at our freshwater turtles, is the way its shell looks. Rather than being covered in keratinized scutes like our other turtle species have, they have a layer of skin. So they're what we call a soft shell turtle. So rather than being covered in scutes, it's covered by leathery skin instead. Now, he's actually working very, very hard to get that last piece of fig at the bottom there. Now, another thing where it gets its name from, now they're not just called pig-nosed turtles, particularly in the States, they'll be called fly river turtles. But if you look at his nose, he's got a pig-shaped nose, a proboscis nose, very, very iconic to this particular species. They're definitely considered the most aquatic of all freshwater turtle species, and in fact, the only time pig-nosed turtles will go to land is when female turtles begin to nest. Outside of that, they're always aquatic, they're in the water. And you can see how easy the pig-nosed turtle can cruise along when it starts to reach that top speed. Now that's had a little bit of food, he's probably thinking, where is the rest of the food? And he's really starting to cruise. It's just the most beautiful turtle that you'll ever see. Now, just took a breath. Now, I did say that they are very aquatic and they're always in the water, but they have lungs and they still need to take in oxygen. So you'll see the turtle quite regularly breach, come up, take in some air obviously, and then begin to swim again. Now, this particular species isn't just found in the Northern Territory in Australia, they're also found in Papua New Guinea as well. They're a beautiful, beautiful turtle. They're by far Australia's largest freshwater turtle species. They can get about 10 kilograms in terms of weight. But that isn't as big as turtles can get, obviously, because our marine sea turtles can get substantially larger than that. Now, another big difference between this, we're making you work hard today, this turtle species and the rest of our turtle species here in Australia, I'm talking about the freshwater ones in particular, is this species draws its neck back in a vertical plane. Now, a lot of people would have seen tortoises do that in particular. The rest of our freshwater turtle species fold their neck in a horizontal plane. And I'm going to give you a demonstration of that in a few seconds, because we're about to go check out a nice common species that a lot of you would be very, very familiar with. I love pig-nosed turtles. Growing up, one of my dreams was to work with and get to keep pig-nosed turtles, and I get to do it every day here at the Reptile Park, which is pretty cool. All right, come with me. I'm going to go back outside now. And I'm sure a few of you might have seen this fella before. His name is Brandon. And Brandon's one of our keepers here, and he loves freshwater turtles. And today he's got one of our smaller freshwater turtles who's sticking its neck all the way out. And this is a Rankin's turtle, a Rankin's long-necked turtle from Queensland. Now, if you're looking at this turtle right now, you might be thinking, geez, that looks like an eastern long-necked turtle. Yes, and they look very, very similar, very closely related to eastern longnecks. Now, the reason I brought out this particular turtle in particular, because I want to talk about one really easy trick to help these animals out in the wild. But first, let's look at that long extension of the neck there. You can imagine why they have a neck like that, particularly if they're going to strike out to grab a small unsuspecting fish that's swimming past. But if it does do it, I don't know if it will, they have the ability to fold that neck underneath the overlying carapace there, fold that neck right in, and that's their way of protecting themselves from a potential predator. But the main reason I brought this particular turtle out today, because this is how you can help these animals out in the wild. Eastern long-necked turtles in general, when they go to nest, they will move around a bit, which means at times they're going to cross roads to find land that they want to nest in. Always keep an eye out for wildlife crossing the road. Slow down for wildlife, whether it's a turtle, whether it's a wombat, a kangaroo. Keep an eye out for these animals crossing the road. I've even seen eastern long-necked turtles crossing the road at 11 p.m. at night. Now, that is the last thing you expect to see, but it does happen on a really, really warm night. If you see one of these animals crossing the road, slow down, wait for it to cross, and if you do want to help it because it's a busy road, pick it up, move it in the direction it's already heading. That way it doesn't spin around and try and go back across the road. Just that little trick can help save these beautiful animals out in the wild, and a great day to talk about it because it, of course, is World Turtle Day. It's all about these guys today. All right, thank you, Brandon. You can take our beautiful Rankin's turtle back, and now we're going to go meet, by far, I don't know, it's debatable, probably one of the best species of reptile that you'll find in the United States of America. And of course, I'm talking about the alligator snapping turtle. Now, there's the common snapping turtle, the alligator snapping turtle, and today we've brought out Terminator, our beautiful female alligator snapping turtle. And thanks so much, Cooper, for holding on to her for me. Now, alligator snapping turtles, their range starts in around eastern Texas, throughout Louisiana, the rest of the states to the northern parts of Florida. Oh, she's just decided to join in the rain as well and have a little spray over Cooper there. We can only laugh about it now, Cooper. You have to wash your pants later. So alligator snapping turtles have a fairly large range. Now, the thing with this particular species is they are an ambush predator. But you've got to be thinking with that camera in nice and close, if you were a potential prey species like a fish or maybe a little alligator or even turtles, what would draw you to a face as fearsome as that? Now, I think you're beautiful, but you do have a fearsome face. Now, this is what makes them quite unique. Is alligator snapping turtles, now it's not doing it at the moment, but usually it'd be sitting with its mouth open nice and wide. On the end of its tongue, they have a lingual appendage. They're the only species of turtle to have this. It's a worm-like piece of tissue. So you could imagine in the wild, you're underneath the log jam, you got your beak open nice and wide, your tongue is exposed, that worm-like piece of tissue starts to wiggle around. That is very inviting to a potential predator, maybe a fish. A fish will swim over, go to bite that lingual appendage, that worm-like piece of tissue, and that's when the snapping turtle will close its beak with immense force. Now, a really big male alligator snapping turtle has potentially, you're talking about 500 pounds per square inch closing bite force pressure. So if you're close enough to that bite force, it really is game over. And the best part is for the snapping turtle, they didn't even have to get off the couch virtually to find their next meal. Now, a really big male snapping turtle could potentially get to 60 or 70 kilos. They're extremely large and extremely long-living reptiles. Now, turtles and tortoises in general do live for a very long time. An eastern long-necked turtle can live for maybe 60 years. The longest living reptiles, of course, would be your giant tortoise species. And Hugo, the Galapagos tortoise, would be an example of that. Giant tortoises can live till they're potentially 186 years of age, maybe sometimes longer. So I say thank you so much, Cooper, for hanging on to Terminator for me. I know it is quite heavy. And let's go down and say hello to the old boy, our 69-year-old Galapagos tortoise. Now, of all the Galapagos tortoises around the world, he's got to be one of the most famous. He's been living at the park for an extremely long time, since the early 1960s, and he would have been substantially smaller than he is now. At the moment, Hugo weighs 180 kilograms, and he's still growing. And the funny thing about it is right now, I've just realised he's actually still inside his hut, which has worked out really, really poorly for us, but we're going to make him come out and say hello to all you guys. So we're going to head inside of his little enclosure there. I'll get him to come out. I've brought down a little treat for him. This is a little bit of carrot. This will be one of his favourite types of food. So as we jump over the fence, I might head across from you for a second, Caitlin.
So how long has Hugo been at the park, Dan?
How long has he been at the park? He came to the park in the early 1960s. So he's been here for an extremely long time. Now, when he came here, he was much smaller. But the thing with Galapagos tortoises is he's going to be here for maybe another 100 years. So at the moment, he's 180 kilograms. There's a very good chance that if you came back here in another 50 years, he might be 220, 230 kilograms. And at full size, you're talking about an animal that could be 300 kilograms. Now, a lot of people assume that must make them the largest of the turtle and tortoise species, but they're dwarfed by their cousins, the leathery sea turtle. Leathery sea turtles can get to a max weight of around 600, maybe 700 kilos. Here he comes. He's doing at a tortoise's pace, of course. He doesn't move around very quickly at all. Bring him around this way. Now, whilst we bring the tortoise out, you're going to see those clubbed feet, those elephantine feet, columnar feet if you like. They're very, very different to the feet that you'll see on a turtle or on a freshwater turtle or a flippers on a marine turtle. And that is one of the differences between your turtles and your tortoises. But really, at the end of the day, they are all turtles. So a turtle that lives on land is a tortoise. A turtle that lives in the water is a turtle, if that simplifies it for you a little bit. All right, we made him work a little bit hard for it, so let's give him a little bit of carrot. Now, when he opens up that mouth there, you're going to see those serrations that line his beak there. So modern day turtles and tortoises, they don't have any teeth, but they do have those serrations, and you can see how easy he can cut through and even a pretty hard carrot. Now, carrot is definitely a treat for Hugo. Typically, we feed them things like lucerne hay, grass. We cut them browse every single day, things like hibiscus and mulberry. But every now and then, A little bit of a treat's good. They love things that are orange, particularly carrot, sweet potato. Another one of their favorites would be squash. If they see any of those kind of foods, they get very, very excited for that. But yeah, Hugo, he's an amazing animal. As I said before, he's about 180 kilograms. He's going to live for an extremely long time, and he's definitely one of the favourite animals of all the visitors that come to the reptile park. And I'm sure there's many, many people watching right now that can't wait to come back and see Hugo, our giant Galapagos tortoise. All right, got any questions for me, Caitlin?
Yeah, we do. How hard are their shells?
Very hard. So the shell itself is obviously made of bone, but the scoots that line the outside is actually made of basically the same stuff your hair and fingernails is made from. It's called keratin. But the shell is what keeps them safe, and the shell has been evolving for around 250 million years. So 250 million years in the making, this shell. Now, whilst it is quite a novel structure, it's what keeps them safe, it's their protection, and it's definitely what makes them so iconic. Now, some people think that turtles and tortoises, when they grow too big for their shell, they walk along like a hermit crab and find a new one. That's definitely not the case. Their shell obviously grows with their skin. It's all fused to the vertebra, so no, they don't jump from shell to the next shell.
Do they have good eyesight?
Yes, they do, and particularly when you see them move for really brightly coloured things like orange and sweet potato, it kind of enhances how good they can see. But obviously they've got a good sense of smell as well, and they do rely on that, particularly if they want to find the food that they like to eat. I know it's starting to rain on us, guys. Yeah, come down here and get that, Hugo.
Speaking of rain, do turtles ever come out of water?
They do, and they'll do it for a few different reasons, but the main reason they'll leave water, so if you think of like a marine sea turtle, a female sea turtle is only going to leave water for one thing, and that's to deposit eggs, as opposed to the males, they'll probably never leave water. So generally when you're talking about leaving the water body itself, it's to nest, but you'll also see turtles basking. So if you go past a river and you see turtles up on a log, they're exposing their shell to the sun, which obviously helps them deal with things like parasites, etc, etc. So you'll see them basking quite regularly. Just like us, we always feel better when we got a little bit of sun on our skin. Same for our turtle species. So you'll see them out of the water quite regularly.
What turtles make good pets?
Okay, I love turtles, and I'm going to make a little bit of a warning to anyone who ever wants to buy a pet turtle. The term penny turtle isn't real. There's no such thing as a penny turtle here in Australia. If you buy our smallest turtle species that's available, it's still going to grow to about this big and going to need a massive tank like an eastern longneck turtle or a Murray River turtle. And the other thing about turtles as pets is you have to be prepared for an animal that lives an extremely long time. You're talking about 60 years. So if you do want a pet turtle, make sure you take that into consideration. They live for a long time and they're going to need a very large space as well.
What are some of the threats that turtles are facing in the wild?
The most common threats, just like a lot of other animals found around the world, habitat loss, land degradation. But here in Australia, one of the major threats for our turtle and tortoise species is threats from introduced feral species like your fox or pig. They destroy nest sites. They sometimes destroy 100% of all nest sites, which means there's very little recruitment of juvenile turtles, hatchling turtles, back into the river system. So eventually, with this poor level of recruitment, and turtles are designed to survive with a low level of recruitment, but not zero. So eventually, as those adult mature turtles start to die out, there's no hatchlings, there's no juveniles coming up back through to fill that niche, those reproductive niche, and then that's when you'll notice a massive decline in total population.
So today's World Turtle Day. What can we do to save turtles?
All right, just by supporting organisations just like AussieARK, as I said before, keeping an eye out for turtles crossing the road. But another thing you can do for me is always make sure your plastic goes in the bin. If it goes in the bin, it won't end up on the ground, in the rivers, and of course out in the oceans as well. Sea turtles in particular, they'll mistake plastic for the food that they eat the plastic and they can eventually die, of course. Also too, they can become entangled in plastic as well. It's the same goes for yabby traps, etc. Don't leave your waste in the rivers, don't leave it on the ground. Always make sure it's disposed of in the correct way. All right guys, Hugo's after me at the moment, so I hope you enjoyed our turtle and tortoise chat on World Turtle Day. They're beautiful, beautiful animals, and from me and everyone here at the Reptile Park, we cannot wait to see you all back here at the park very, very soon. We're so excited to see you all back checking out big guys like Hugo. I'll see you next time, guys. See you later.